Next up, we have the actual detailed product reviews. So this is what would come straight after your comparison table. So as you can see, we've got 7 different products on here. I'm not going to build out the sections for all 7 as it's pretty much exactly the same, just rinse and repeat. So what I'll do is I will do the first one. So let's go back to the first product, and you can see above the product, we have this part right here, our top 7 picks. If I zoom in, you can see that a little bit better. Right here, our top 7 picks. These are our top 7 picks for the best table saws in the current market. So you can either add this above your table or actually add it below. It all comes down to preference. I typically like to add it above the table, even though it's part of the product reviews, as the table actually lists out what those products are. So it just makes sense having a title above here as well. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to add a heading. And I'm going to chuck it in like so above. And then what I'll do is replace this heading text with this text right here. I'm just going to take the top one, our top 7 picks, select it, and then paste it in like so. Then I'm going to add a text editor below that, like so. And then that is going to contain this one line of text, as I don't want that to be just as big as the actual title. So now if I paste that in like so, and then click preview, go back onto this tab, you'll see it looks a little bit more like an affiliate website now. Our top 7 picks, we've got the table, it all looks nice, and all of this space and stuff can be reduced at the end, which I'll show you how to do. So don't worry about that for now. So let's get into the product reviews. So the first thing we need to do is add another section. Go for full width. This is going to be the title of the first product you are reviewing. And we want to go ahead and go for the title heading widget, drop it in like so, and then simply paste in the product that you are reviewing. So you can see our writer's actually put in a lot of words for this, and it's probably not going to look the best. As you can see, we've got a massive title here on 2 lines, not the most user friendly. So feel free to actually break this down a little bit and just get the main things in there. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to take out all of this, and I'm going to keep it as a SawStop 10-inch professional cabinet saw, the best cable cabinet saw. I think that looks a lot more cleaner. I'm actually going to remove this word cabinet, as we've already got it covered right here. It's very obvious it is a cabinet saw because it says best cabinet table saw. So I'll take out this cabinet like so, and now we've got it all on one line, which looks a lot more cleaner. So this is the title, and remember, this needs to be clickable and linked to Amazon. So let's go back over to Amazon, and I'll get my link for that saw. I can actually click it from my article like so. And let's click text under get link again. Exactly the same process. Full link, copy it, go back over to Elementor, select that, and then where it says link, I'll paste in my Amazon link like so. Now all of this is going to be clickable. The second part of the product review is actually split into 2 different sections. If you remember from our image, you see we've got the product review, just one full width. Then we got the second part, which is text on the left hand side and image on the right. So I'm going to follow exactly the same suit, add another widget, go for 2-column structure this time. And on the left hand side is going to be our normal text, not a title, text editor. Then on the right hand side, I'm going to add an image. So you can see just how easy it is to actually create a page when you are using Elementor, which is another reason I recommend you use a theme which has Elementor as the page builder. So the correct image for this one is, I believe it's this first image right here. Let me just double check against the article. Very important you don't have the wrong image. So it is indeed this one, insert media. And then all I need to do is simply copy the content. So as it's currently set into 2 different columns, if I add loads of content right here, it's going to result in the content coming down here and just this weird gap. So what I recommend you do is you add pretty much enough content to come down to the same height as the image, thereabouts. So if I go back to my content, I'm probably going to go for the first 2 paragraphs. I'll copy that like so. They select that and paste it. And let's see where that takes us. Sometimes it's going to be a little few second delay. And then I'm probably going to just take this up a little bit like so. And that doesn't look too bad. And what I'm going to do is add another widget and go full width this time and do exactly the same process, add in text, and then go ahead and add in the rest of the content. So I'll actually add all of this. The reason I'm going to add all of this and not break it up by an image is because the bottom half is actually already broken up by key specifications, which the writer has nicely included in the article. So let's copy all of that, go back into here, paste it in, make sure the bullet points is formatted correctly. Let's go ahead and delete these really big gaps we've got for some reason. Again, just delete them And let's delete this big one right here. Just make it a little bit cleaner. And again, we'll delete that gap as well. And that doesn't look too bad now. So that's actually the main product review. And then this brings us on to the next section of our product review, which is the pros and cons. So this part right here. So again, this is in 2 different columns. So we're going to follow exactly the same process. Add a widget, 2 columns, but this time I'm going to add in 2 headings, one here, and I'll add in another heading here. Then I'm going to repeat this again, go for 2 columns, and this time I'm going to add in text editors. So the text editor is actually going to be where we put in the bullet points, and then these headings, you guessed it, is going to be for the pros and the cons. Whoops, I think I actually entered another title here, so no problem. I'm going to actually duplicate this one we have on the left side, right click, duplicate, and then drag this across. So you've got multiple ways you can actually do this in Elementor. You can either drag one from the right hand side. Now this is just playing up a little bit, of course. As I'm making a course, it wants to play up. Perfect, as it always works. So I'll just drag it in. But you can actually just duplicate it and drag it across. But as you saw, sometimes it can be a little bit awkward just to get what you want sometimes. But no worries, we got there in the end. Then let's go ahead and copy in these pros from the article. So put the pros in there, paste it in like so. Do exactly the same thing for the cons, only 2 cons, which is nice. This is why it's a #1 product. And you could just leave it like this, but it doesn't look the best. So what I recommend you do to make it look a bit more professional and to actually stand out, remember, this is the pros and cons and is what a lot of people skim the article through to read, just to quickly find out the benefits of the product. So what I recommend you do is you actually click this icon right here, which takes you into the settings for that column, go for style, and then give it a color. And of course you go for green because it is a pro, it's a benefit. So what I like to do is just go green hex colors in Google because I don't actually know the hex colors off the top of my head. I'll then copy this code, then go back into Elementor, select the column, style, and then next to color, click this icon and then paste in that new hex code and it will change it to green. So let's do the same for that one, but we'll change green to red as obviously a con is something to be aware of. Let's make it very nice and clear. And we'll go for this one, red right here. But of course, if you want to go for tomato red, then be my guest. Let's select that. Exactly the same thing. Style, classic, and then put red in. Delete these spaces. And you can see we've got pros and cons there now. But what I also like to do is go one step further and make sure these aren't touching. It looks a bit more professional. So click the column again, go to advanced, and then for margin, go ahead and change that to 10. Make sure this is enabled so it actually happens across all of them. And you can see it basically adds a little margin around this. So it just gives it a bit of padding and a bit of breathing room and just makes it look a little bit more professional. So there we go. We've very easily added our pros and cons. And then lastly, we just need to add a button for check price. Elementor actually has a widget on the left hand side for a button, as you can see here. So before we can add the button, let's go and create another column. We'll go for this one, full width, and then go back to this icon, drag the button in like so, and here you can see here is our button. So you can play around with the size of this. I typically just go for the size of medium, as I find extra large and large just look too big and a little bit tacky. But of course, go for whatever suits you. So I'll go for medium, then going to center up that button. And I'm also going to change the color of the button to orange. I always make all of my CTAs orange. I've ran so many tests on all of my affiliate sites, and I've always found that orange just simply works the best when it comes to generating the most amount of clicks possible. So I'll go back to Google and I'll type in orange hex color, and I'll take this color right here and go back to our table, select the button, style, and then for color right here under gradient, let's go in and put in our hex color like so. Then of course we need to change the button text from click here to check price, as that's what I typically go for when it comes to text on buttons. Check price. You can even go for a check best price, and a lot of people have been playing around with that on the affiliate sites. although I haven't actually tested which performs better. So before I start recommending you go for best price. However, I don't actually have any data to say which one performs better yet. I do plan on getting a test set up, as what you'll find is a lot of people will just go on Twitter and say, yeah, this is the best text to have for your button, but no one's run any tests, no one has any data. And remember, this is a business, so whenever I make a change on my website, it needs to be based on data. I don't just like to go with, I think this is going to be better. So I'll leave it as check price for now. If you want, you can make the font a little bit more bolder. You just go into style, typography, and then you can play around with the weight of that. For example, 900. The size of the button's got a little bit small, which is weird, but you can pretty much change the boldness of that in here. But I'm going to leave mine as it is for the purpose of this video. This is pretty much the layout of our first product review. So before I start to just kind of sign this off and be happy, I always like to make some final tweaks and just double check everything is done correctly. Probably the most important thing you want to check is make sure you've got your links in all the places. And a little pro tip as well is that when you actually add in your link, you can go into this little cog right here, which is the link options, and you have two options, which is open in a new window and add no follow. So go ahead and tick both of these. These are actually really important. So open in a new window, as it sounds, is when you click the link, instead of redirecting the user from your page to that link, it's going to open that in a new tab. That's going to help with our SEO and keep your user metrics high. The no follow means we're going to keep all of our SEO juice and link power on our website. So definitely go ahead and do that for all the links. So let's do that for the image link as well, which in this instance, you can see I haven't actually added a link. This is why it's really good to go ahead and do these double checks before you sign off a product review. So let's go ahead to that product, get the text link for that again, full, we'll copy that, then paste that in like so, link options, tick both of these. And then of course we need to add the link to the button at the bottom as well. So on the content tab, we'll put in the link. Same as before, open in a new window and no follow. And what I'm also going to do is change the alignment of these. So I'm going to change this to center and do the same for cons. Again, I'm just tidying up now, making sure it looks really nice and clean. And the reason why I'm spending a lot of time doing this now is because once you've got one done, you can pretty much just go to the top, right click, duplicate, and then literally start to build out your one below this. So that'll be the title. I could then copy out the same for this one, right click, duplicate, then drag this section down, and then pretty much do exactly the same with all of this. And I've already got my structure for the next one. I literally just have to go into this, change out the images and the text to suit. When you see things that are a little bit close like this, you can use this widget, which is a spacer. You literally just drag it above the title like so. It will then add in a big white space and you can customize that to suit. So at the moment it's 50. You know, you may want to go for 25, for example. You can see it's a bit more spacey. Again, you can go for whatever suits your own preference. But this is the beauty of building it once, is once you do one product review, you've already got your template for the remaining ones. And as you see, once we click on this, we have all our link options already saved as we duplicated our original one. So that is how you do it. So let's go ahead and preview this page to quickly see how it looks before I go ahead and publish this. So just let this refresh. You can now see we have our title, our introduction, then got our table of contents, which is automatically generated. We've then got our affiliate comparison table here, all linked up to Amazon, perfect. We then got our first product review. Again, this is all linked up to Amazon, absolutely perfect. Then we've got our actual product content review, our pros, our cons, and then the CTA for checking the price. So just rinse and repeat this for all of the other products in your product review. I'm going to fast forward the video and go ahead and do that now. Then I'll resume and show you how it looks. And just like that, I have now built out my complete page. You can see we've got our number one product right there. If I scroll down, you'll see we've got all the details for our number two product. We've got number three, also got number four, all the way down to product 7. And I've also actually included the buyer's guide as well, as of course that should come after your individual product reviews. Just a table guide of what to look out for. Again, just copy and paste from my content. And we are pretty much good to go. So once you are happy with how your money page is looking, you simply go ahead and click publish in the bottom left hand corner. This will then take your page live. Now, don't worry about the actual optimization of the page, as I'll show you how to do that in the on-page SEO section. As I said earlier, The purpose of this video is just to show you how you can build out your very first money page. So here we have it. It looks very nice and clean. You will notice we have this widget part or widget sidebar on the right hand side. If you do not want that to show on your page, then what you need to do is go back into your WordPress page. So if you go back to Elementor and then right click this and then go exit to dashboard, this will then take me out of the Elementor page builder and back onto the main page settings. Then on the right hand side, if you scroll all the way down to page settings, you can see at the moment it's set to content with sidebar. If you wanted full width, you just go ahead, click full width content box, click update, and then that will be removed. So that is it for this video. I hope you found it valuable, and I also hope you're enjoying the course. See you in the next views. Next up, we have the actual